Am I the asshole for telling my husband no when he asked me to start paying more towards our bills every month? Edit. Do not repost this anywhere. My husband and I have a joint checking and savings that we contribute to every paycheck for bills, namely mortgage, utilities and insurance. We are in charge of our own credit cards. I pay a lot less than him towards bills. A few years ago I got a loan to consolidate my credit cards. I had racked up about $10,000 in credit card debt in college and right after while I was looking for a job in my field. This was before we were married, but we were together. It was a stupid mistake to rack up that much in credit card debt, but I was able to pay the loan off early. My husband asked if maybe we could reevaluate how much we put into our joint accounts now that this loan is paid off. I said no for a few reasons. 1. He makes a lot more money than I do. About $115,000 to my $55,000. He buys whatever he wants whenever he wants, and I often have to save my fun money to buy something I really want. I do not fault him for this, he works very hard and I'm glad he is able to have hobbies. 2. I do all of the housework and the majority of yard work. My husband shoveled snow once this winter, it only snowed twice. I shoveled the first time, and then asked him to shovel when it snowed again a few days later because I was sore. He will mow once or twice a summer, I do the rest. The most my husband will do for housework is clean up his own messes in the kitchen. 3. I buy and cook all the meals. I can't even remember the last time my husband went to a grocery store. It's been months, at least. I go weekly and buy groceries, out of my money, not our joint money, and cook our meals. I probably only cook 3 or 4 meals a week and we eat leftovers the rest of the time. 4. I pay for everything with our pets, 2 dogs and a cat. We don't have kids yet. I schedule and pay for their vet appointments and I buy all their food and toys. I'm also the only one who walks them. He says it's not fair because I never ask him to do these things. This is true, because I don't feel like I should have to ask a grown man to do things that obviously need to be done. He should be able to look at a full laundry hamper and say, maybe I should put a load of laundry in, or notice the dishwasher finish a cycle and think, I'm going to unload this. I should mention I'm not angry that I do all this. This is just who he is. I would be angry if I paid an equal amount towards our expenses and he didn't do an equal amount of work, without being told. If I ever need him to do something, I will ask, but doing so in everyday life sounds almost as exhausting as just doing the stuff myself. I really don't feel like I'm an asshole here. But what do you think, Reddit? Edit. Wow, this gained a lot more attention than I expected. I'm still going through all the replies, I just wanted to add a quick edit to answer some questions. I agree our system of financial management is flawed. This is how my husband and I did our finances before we got married a little over a year ago, and we just never updated it. I think we've been dragging our heels because it means changing our saved accounts and automatic bill pay for everything, which is a lot of work. My husband and I have talked it over and agreed to basically do the opposite of how we are doing things now. Our money is going to go into our joint account, and then we're going to take a percentage for our individual, fun money. He's also agreed to help more around the house, but I'll believe it when I see it. Not the asshole. Honestly, in my opinion, the groceries, household expenses, and pets should be paid from the joint account. And each of you would contribute a percentage relative to how much you earn. This could be pretty close to what you're already doing though, depending on the breakdown and how much is spent on groceries and pets. Why are you paying a loan for food and the expenses of the pets? Are they not joint pets? Does your husband not eat? The way I see it, you already pay for much more than just the amount you put in the joint account. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You guys should reevaluate and add groceries, pet care, plus all the time you're spending cooking and maintaining the house into how you split the bills. Time is money. And you're right, he's a grown-ass man, he should know that shit needs to be done around the house. His excuse of, you never asked, really means, I expect you to do this. Not the asshole. Why are so many women in this sub married to literal children? Keep all your grocery receipts for a month and total them. I'm sure it'll be pretty close to even. You may not pay as much for bills, but you contribute in other ways. Show him this. Do up a spreadsheet and compare, including your grocery cost and your expenses. Not the asshole. And while the finances here are concerning, so is your husband's lack of understanding of partnership in a relationship. You should not have to ask him to do things or do it all yourself because managing someone else's responsibilities is yet another job. This is an attitude all too common in relationships. It sounds like you understand and value his contributions to the marriage, but this is not always returned. Talk to him and hopefully you can get to an understanding of what an equal relationship would be. I found this helpful. Not the asshole, however you are married. It's unhealthy to continue thinking of money as yours versus his, as realistically all of your assets are pooled together at this point. You don't make $55K and $115K a year, you make $170K combined. If you left him tomorrow, realistically half of everything would be yours anyways, I suppose, depending on divorce laws in the state. I would advise, as some other posters pointed out, to sit down and discuss expectations for finances and future financial goals. To stress this much about money in a legal marriage where assets, taxes and such are combined is ludicrous, and your husband sounds oblivious either purposefully or accidentally. Not the asshole. You guys needs to sit down and pay an equal percentage out of your pay, i.e. 20% each or however much will cover your bills. That way you are both technically paying equally, but your number will of course be lower than his. Bills incurred should be a joint thing. You taking care of pets doesn't make the mortgage cheaper. He shouldn't be buying whatever fun he wants. This type of setup is bad on both sides. Not the asshole. This is just who he is. No, it's not. Most men do this. My brother does it, my dad did it, the boyfriend that I dated before I came out did it. Look into the mental load, you'll see, well you never asked me to help, is not a trait specific to your husband, it's a societal one. Not the asshole. It sounds like you're working an extra full-time job taking on the domestic responsibilities of your husband. Tell him you'll pay more towards bills once he balances out the additional labor you provide with a portion of his salary. Info. What % of the bills do you pay now, and what is he asking for you to pay going forward? Not the asshole. You pay some household bills, the groceries and the pets? You're probably financially contributing more than him already. And along with the housework you're putting about 170% into the marriage and he's contributing 30%. If you do all the housework, he should pay all the bills. When he asks you to be the task manager, he's asking you to shoulder all of the mental load in the relationship, and here's a relevant comic that explains how hard and tiring that can be. I'm horrified on your behalf. Surely pay for everything as a proportion of your income. You make less than half as much as him, so you contribute 30% and he contributes 70%. But that's only relevant if he also does 50% of the housework. Yikes. Not the asshole, but you do need to start communicating better about what you need. Have an account for shared expenses like coffee, dinners, groceries, pet food. Anything that you do together. Split as by a percentage of your income rather than the same dollar amount. Then have a bills account for all the other things like vet appointments, utilities, house maintenance. Please stop paying for things for both of you out of your own account. Print a weekly chores list and pop it on the fridge, and every time you do one of those chores you tick it off, and ask him to do the same. It sucks to feel like you have to ask, so that's a little thing that we do, and on Sunday we run around ticking off everything that is left on the list, and it's a team effort. Info. Why are you paying for the groceries out of your account and not the joint one? Same question about the pet stuff. Right now I feel like everyone sucks here because you're clearly not great at communicating with each other, and you should figure that out sooner as opposed to later. Both of you are the asshole for not figuring out your finances before getting married. At this point everything should be treated as joint, you are equals and everything should be treated as such. It's not that hard to move some money and make new accounts. There really is not a great excuse for it being so unorganized. Nah, but realize that marriages that have this level of disagreement about finances and chores are subject to the kind of stress and resentment that can be an ender. When you do your PowerPoint presentation to him on how you're paying much more than he is, remember to value your time doing housework at $20 per hour and your time doing yard work at $30 per hour. The fact that he knows that if you add in the groceries he'd be paying more makes this particularly egregious. Not the asshole. And congrats on paying off your debt. Info. Is he willing to do more housework if you pay a higher percentage of the monthly bill? And if so, would you agree to that arrangement? I should mention I'm not angry that I do all this. You fucking should be. Respect yourself. Info. Why don't you pay for those things out of your joint account? Isn't that literally what it's for? Not the asshole. My wife and I manage finances differently than most. We live on my salary and save, invest, pay off debt with hers. We're planning to fire around 46. People seem to be very off-put by this, but when you marry someone you should work as a team. You two are not at all working as a team, really just him, hence the not the asshole. Because I don't feel like I should have to ask a grown man to do things that obviously need to be done. This line of thinking sets your husband up for failure. Not everyone sees things the same way, and people aren't mind readers. Relative to your finances, and I understand that not everyone subscribes to this, and that's fine. These are usually the reasons why people just have a joint account for income. You're now budgeting as a unit, and not two individuals. Good on you for making that adjustment. Nah. No assholes here, or whatever the everyone option is. Is it true that in another comment you only contribute 15%? He may make twice as much but not 85% more and it's not his debt. It sounds like you both need to mature a bit in other ways. You with money and him with helping out more. I am going to get downvoted. But you are the asshole. Because it didn't seem like you had discussed the situation. You merely dismissed his desire to reevaluate the situation. And it sounds like you need to have a sit-down conversation about the expectations you both have. Not the asshole. Why in the world are you buying food out of your own money for you both? I see so many of these where couples are nickel and diming each other. Soft. You are the asshole if you just flat refuse to reevaluate the situation with him at all. If your financial status has changed, wouldn't it be fair that you reevaluate it? Even if nothing changes, at least you wouldn't just be shutting him down cold and throwing your contributions toward the household in his face. I think you guys should sit down and talk all these things over, finance and chores included. You may come to a conclusion you like even more than what you're doing now. Not the asshole. You should each put the same percentage of your paycheck into the joint account. You should also pay for groceries and pets out of the joint account. If you don't mind doing all those chores, that's fine, but if it does bother you, you should have a discussion about it and assign certain chores to each person. If he gets lawn care and doesn't want to do it, he can pay someone else to do it with his own money. Not the asshole. I really hate this, you don't ask me to do stuff, BS. He is a grown man, you should not need to ask him to do things, he has eyes. It is as much his responsibility as yours. If you're happy getting on with it for the most part then that's great but you shouldn't have to. Also not the asshole for wanting to contribute more when you earn less than half of what he does. I can't believe he's even asked you to be honest. Not the asshole. You are doing more than enough. Not the asshole. You're not a mother and he's not a child. Not the asshole. Top comment is pretty much exactly right. I did want to point out however that I saw an article on how part of the workload disparity in couples is the mental workload. Our culture teaches women to think about full hamper, done dishwasher, vet appointments, dirty table and so on. Men on the other hand are not trained to think about these things, so they often don't even notice. Dishwasher exists only when he needs it to. Laundry hamper is the same. By asking you to tell him to do things he is trying to fix this, but the fix is keeping all the mental workload on you, and I know I would worry if he could guarantee he would never snap at you for asking him to do something. Not sure if anyone said this, but is he having some financial troubles you might not know about? Gambling? Drugs? I know it's extreme, but it seems weird he asked you to contribute more money. Also, I used the word reliable with my partner when discussing household duties. I need to know I can rely on him to participate. It helped. There's an article too out there about a man who ended up divorced because he didn't really contribute because his wife never asked. But like you said, it's not something we should have to ask. It's a partnership. Both people need to be reliable. You are the asshole. You will have to do chores no matter who you live with or where. You don't get paid for them. Discuss the division of household duties with your husband, and pay your share of bills like an adult. You should both be contributing 50-50 to everything. Cost of living, housework, all of it. If at times certain chores can't be equally divided, then negotiate. But 2 people living in a household means 2 people equally paying. I fucking hate it when they say you only have to ask when a chore needs to be done. 1. Shouldn't have to be told to do chores. It's common sense. And 2. When they are asked, it's called nagging. Info. If it was a case of you wanting the pets and agreeing to pay for them, take care of them, I don't think that should be factored in. That is essentially hobby, fun money that you spend on something you like. If it was a mutual decision, then I think things should be split evenly. Also, was you doing the bulk of the house and yard work part of the agreement of you contributing less toward expenses? If so, then if he wants you to contribute evenly, he should be willing to even out the chores. Not the asshole. Do not have children with him. He will do nothing. Info. How much do each of you pay towards your shared expenses, once every bill is accounted for? Info. Have you ever discussed chores and finances? Based on your post, it seems like you have never talked about these subjects in full with your Not the asshole. Transitioning into married life can be challenging with finances. It sounds like you guys need to overhaul your accounts. What has worked really well for my husband and I, who have a large earning disparity, I make $95K, he makes $15K, is all of our paychecks get deposited into a joint account, and then an equal amount is automatically transferred into each of our separate, fun money, accounts each week. Almost everything comes out of the joint account: rent, groceries, utilities, insurance, student loans, eating out, etc. Doing it this way really helped us transition into a our money frame of mind versus my money and his money. Not the asshole. First, when there is that great of a disparity in salaries, it should always be a % of your salary, not equal amounts. Second, you should be compensated for doing all the house yard work. For him to say he would do chores if asked is total crap. Have him read this. So that being said, if he agrees to actually take on daily, weekly chores, then I suggest you figure out a % from each of your salaries to cover the bills. 1. Don't have children unless you're okay with doing all the physical and mental work required to parent them. 2. Hire a cleaning service to come once a week, and take the dogs to doggy day care a couple times a week. If you have enough money to make your life easier, then go ahead and do it. It's not lazy or indulgent to hire a cleaner. It's the modern equivalent of buying a washing machine instead of washing your clothes by hand in a big barrel in the backyard. You will never feel it is just to pay more, and he will never feel it is unjust to make you pay more as long as your responsibilities and spending are not crystal clear to each other. Sit down and actually divide expenses. Food is a part of spendings that must be shared. Same goes with vet appointments and spendings. House chores must be divided as well. It doesn't work when one is doing everything and another had to be told to do something. Have a strict chore list that you split between the two of you. If this doesn't work with him and you don't mind doing chores, then you pay less since you are doing more work. But you have to actually sit down and discuss in detail to make it clear. There's no other way around it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole for the reasons you listed. Not the asshole. I was horrified until you said you'd only been married a year. This is the hard work they tell you about at the wedding. I would just get a fee-based financial advisor to provide some neutral third-party advice on combining finances. Not the asshole. I do a lot of writing about finances, and I think the fairest way for couples with unequal earnings to share expenses is proportional. Your husband earns more than twice as much as you do, so he should be contributing a proportional amount toward household expenses, and all household expenses should come out of the joint account. I don't understand why you are shouldering all groceries and pet-related expenses and doing all the housework. That's nonsense. It sounds like both of you view your relationship as very transactional. You do you, but I prefer relationships to be a union and a partnership, not a series of business deals. Not the asshole. There is so much wrong here I can't even describe it all. From seeing what you wrote, you do more for the household than he does. All he does is pay more in bills. That's it. You're being taken advantage of. I seriously urge you to consider putting all your earnings and his earnings into a single account, then giving each other a set, an equal amount of money to use as fun money. Running the household is done out of the main joint account. Hobbies and fun for yourselves is done via your fun money accounts. I do this with my partner and it works great. There's no thinking of my money, or your money, it's house money. It is for the house. Of course holiday bonuses and such go to whoever earned it. Not the asshole. Required reading every time someone talks about doing all the housework and care tasks in a home, especially when their partner insists that they'd help if they just asked them. You should have asked.